Okay. Hi, ladies. We are indeed live. So thank you for giving a bit of your Saturday evening to come and join me for this um, important time. I think the important time for us, not only as citizens of this country, but for us as Black women. So I want to just say hello and allow you a space to chime in and say who you are. I'm Rhonda. I am a founder of Not Your Mama's Tea, and I'm joined by Kanita. And you may see something that says dirty, but that is not, that does not represent fully Lexi, who is also joined me tonight to take some time to remember Breonna Taylor. So, hello, Lexi. You both want to come off mic and just uh, say who you are and send your greetings?
Yeah, I can go first. I am Kenita Hickman, owner of Terra, which is a brand strategy and media company where I help creatives, musicians, entrepreneurs, and politicians to be seen and heard.
And I am Lexi S. Brunson, owner and active editor in chief of Copyright Magazine, an online and in print publication for artists and creatives locally.
Yeah. So as we get started with our night, we wanted to make sure that we took some time to remember Breonna Taylor, as so many other people are doing tonight. So usually I'm having these conversations with a cup of tea and having a little tea time with my girls. It's not that conversation today. We're not sipping tea and laughing it up, but we really are today together as women in solidarity, taking some time to remember Breonna Taylor. And for my work and what I'm doing with Not Your Mama's Tea, it is all about women and how we network and how we come together. So I could not continue to position myself and think of myself as a place for women to come and to have fun, to network, to feel safe, to feel heard, and not pause to remember this, to remember this woman and the gravity of the whole moment. So thank you both for joining me. And so as we just get started with our night, let's just take a pause and I invite you if you're watching, just let's all ground ourselves by taking a deep breath, uh, positioning yourself one to let your feet fully be immersed in the ground, feel the bottom of your feet. Wherever you're sitting, let yourself feel the weight and the gravity of that. And let's just take in a deep breath and release. Yeah. So, thank you. Um, I really want to make sure that I connected with Black women tonight and really pause and take a moment to hear what you think about this time. What does today mean to you? Um, and the whole year that has passed since Breonna Taylor was cruelly murdered, unjustly murdered in her home, and all that has happened from then to now, it has been a wave of emotions. I know for me, and I just wanted to check in with you and possibly other Black women to just see where are you at and what does today mean to you, um, and what are your hopes? You know, we can't We can't change what happened. If I could, oh my gosh, I would hug Breonna Taylor's mom. I don't even know her. I never met Breonna Taylor in my life, but you know that this is a thing amongst us as Black women. Um, we can carry this weight for each other. You know
Hmm.
that I didn't lose a child, and I don't know what that feels like. But the pain of watching her mother. I was watching her mother recently on interviews, or just imagining, having a child taken from you like that. I would just give her the biggest hug. So yeah, I want to know for you both, what has this year been like? How have you been reflecting on the events that have transpired regarding Breonna Taylor, and what are you hoping for into the future for Black women? Um, yeah, what's happening? What's going on with you right now?
Well, I know.
Um.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. Um. I think for me, I mean, keep in mind, this is not a year. This is a year that since she was murdered in her home. This is not a year of us finding out. We found out as a response to Ahmaud's murder, right? And then people were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Y'all running for Ahmaud. Y'all need to stand with Breonna. And people were like, well, who's Breonna? Well, but in Louisville, they were already organizing and activating around her death. And so I think that's really important to talk about as we talk about what does justice for Black women look like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, I took her death really hard, and the absence of murder indictments really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember getting the text message that said, reading one of my DMs, and my DM said, "What is wanton endangerment?" And I remember getting that DM while I was at a work meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was hard for me to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard for me to understand how the world was continuing to rotate.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I remember
it
some of
was
your
hard,
posts.
right? It
Yeah.
was hard for me to understand how I was even expected to show up to work and perform in any capacity as a Black woman, how it's impacted me in a very real way when I go and spend the night at my partner's home who lives on the north side of Milwaukee. I'm scared when we go to sleep at night because he lives in a duplex.
Mm.
I live in an apartment building. And knowing that the police could get it wrong. And since then, since the murder of Breonna Taylor, the lack of indictments for Breonna Taylor, there was also, it came out about the young woman in Chicago, Illinois,
Yeah.
who, had just gotten off of her shift, was
Mortified.
changing, getting ready to get into take a shower from her late night shift at the hospital. Police came into the wrong home, right? And really disgraced
And
her,
she
right?
was naked,
Butt naked
butt naked.
for an extended period of time before they
An
allowed her to get
extended
clothes.
period of time.
Just before I hopped on this call today, there's a young woman, and we don't know the incident, that what led to it, but a young woman in Nashville, Tennessee, Black woman, was pulled over. Her passenger had warrants or something. She was like, that don't have anything to do with me. But it ultimately led into this Black woman engaging in a shootout with this white police officer. And she was able to drive away, but she crashed and died about a block away. So she was able to shoot the police officer. The police officer also shot at her. Both of them connected. Again, this is just coming out. It just happened on Friday. But I think given all of this information, specifically, how am I coming into this moment with Breonna Taylor? Yo, it's scary to think that I could be in my home. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and all of these other instances with specifically with Black men. There was always this narrative of if he, or
Mm.
right. Here's a
Mm-hmm.
woman who, as an EMT, was helping during the pandemic. Her mother gave interviews early on where she's saying, I was telling my daughter to just make sure she washed her hands. We never even thought that it was possible for a law abiding citizen who had a law abiding partner where this could happen. And so for me, um, it's been real traumatic and it's been real hard. And at the lack of indictments, something that resonated with me, something that I journaled about, was just how the world seeks to murder Black women daily.
Mm.
Just to, and it's not physical. It's in the workplace. It's at the grocery store. It's at the hair store, right? Where are Black women safe? And so when we talk about what I hope for, I just hope for spaces where I can feel safe, right?
Mm.
I don't, since the death of Breonna Taylor and it being known in national and international news, I just haven't felt safe. And I think had this happened any other time outside of the pandemic, it wouldn't have affected me this way. The pandemic has really forced me into that identity of what it truly means to be a Black woman in a way that I've never experienced before. So I'll turn it over to Lexi because I said a lot.
Wow. No, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. And where I was raised to be very cautious of myself and my surroundings just because I'm a Black woman, it has made me even more cautious and uncomfortable in spaces where I shouldn't have to be on guard so heavily. I question taking my child to the grocery store. I question, do I need a weapon on me or not? I question what neighborhoods I'm going into. Are they heavily populated with, people of, Caucasian descent that maybe will have fear of me just because of what I look like or who I am or how I carry myself. And that makes me scared, knowing that I respect all people and all life and humans equally, and to know that it doesn't matter what I do. And I think Breonna Taylor's death was super symbolic for me because it was really at the most vulnerable point you can be at in your home while you rest.
Mm.
You are in your home. That is your safe space. And for me, that's a very true thing. As a person who really likes to be in my home and make sure my home is my comfort, because it is always, no matter how authentic you are, walking outside your door, like I said, I was raised to have that guard on me. And so just to imagine being in your safe space and that being your demise is unfathomable. And I just feel like Black women are some of the most disrespected individuals in our society. And I think the lack of acknowledgement of what happened to her in a way that is like, we don't accept this. This is not acceptable behavior. I don't care what the counter narrative says or what the reason is why. That a Black woman can't be in her own home, in her own safe space, without having to worry about dying is an issue. And it goes beyond the issue of law. It goes on the sustainability of our culture. It goes on the sustainability of our mental health. It goes on the sustainability of how we raise our children. And that it shows heavily when her mother talks, like, you don't want to bury your child.
Mhm.
You don't want to bury your child. And as a new mother, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. And you always are, as a Black woman and as a Black individual in general, you already, when you're raised, are told, these are certain things that you should do to make sure you're protected, act in these certain ways, make sure you do these things. And you already outside, like, okay, let me make sure I'm on my P's and Q's. Let me make sure I do that. All the training and all the teaching that your parents have given you does not apply when you're in your safe space.
Right.
Mama. Yes, lovely. So, hi, baby. That's right. So, my hope is that I want to be alive to where there's some accountability. I want to see that in my lifetime. I'm not waiting for the next lifetime. I'm not waiting for that narrative to be shifted for another generation. I'm concerned now. I'm concerned for us. I'm concerned for her. And I'm concerned for whoever's out there. And I just wanted there to be change. So I'm hopeful, and my reflection is that we're not letting this die out how they hope we let it die out. I don't care. Right. I don't care about going back into regular operation and leaving out a pandemic, and now we all super back focused on the work we were doing before. No, this is a part of the narrative moving forward. You're going to respect Black women. You're going to take accountability for the things that you do to Black women. And I'm not going to stop thinking about it. I'm not going to stop advocating for it. Okay, girl. All right.
Girl, she ready. No, that's true. I feel that, like, yeah, of course, people are in a rush to get up. I want to get, past what we've been, but I'm not to give permission to still be hateful and allow white supremacy to run roughshod. I'm not trying to get back to that. So thinking, about post-pandemic activities, part of that is not to ignore and forget and just try to pretend we don't know what we know. So I feel you totally on that. So your hope for us as Black women, what are they, Lexi?
Can you repeat that?
Your hopes for us as Black women.
I hope that we can rise together. Oh. Well, first thing, I want us to be there for each other and comfort each other. That's the first. I want it to be that we have to unify and collectively stand strong and firm, because we know that there are systems that are against us. There are positionings in society that don't acknowledge us. And that goes beyond just being Black. But as a Black woman, there's an added layer to that. And I think the more that we say, like, this exists, because I think all too often we have this strong Black women complex that we just supposed to just deal with certain things. And we just deal with it because for generations that we've been dealing with it. And I think my hope is that we can be transparent, at least with each other. Sis, I'm not doing good. Sis, this is happening. I need a shoulder. I want to talk about this. And at least in that, I hope that we can start healing and being supportive of each other. Because if the world's against us, at least we can have each other's back.
Amen. Feel you. Yeah. For me,
if I can I interject really quick?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Before we got into this call, you kind of asked, like, how should we introduce ourselves and all that. And I'll add that this is kind of, for folks listening, this is why this collective was created. I really wanted to be in a space with Black women content creators. And so I kind of put out a call to women to see who might want to be connected in that way. And it was something that I wanted to do prior to pandemic, and something that I wasn't even sure if during pandemic people would even be interested in. Like, did we really need another virtual meeting? But I'll tell you that this space of Black women has been a lifesaver for me during the pandemic, where I can't engage with people in general like I used to. I can't go see my mom. I haven't seen my mom since October. A lot of my mentors who are Black women haven't been able to go out and, just talk, right? And so for me, having this like multi hyphenate affinity group, right? We are content creators, we are entrepreneurs, we all have that in common as well. We are also Black, we are also women. Has just been food to my soul. Because I don't know how I would have survived pandemic without Black women friendships. And I didn't recognize how much I needed friendships, but also Black women friendships. And I also didn't realize what life would feel like with the absence of me just being able to be in space physically laughing with you guys. And this is as I've come to terms with my own Blackness. It's not as if I didn't know I was Black, not as if I didn't know I was a woman. But when you're in the grind and you got your blinders on and you just trying to build the company and build the thing, like all of us, we're probably going to too many meetings, way overbooked, and you just trying to get through. Pandemic took a lot of that away, where now I was cognizant of how people treated me as a Black woman. So now that comment that you hear on break feels a little different. You know what I mean? Because, or that post that you read on Facebook that you would have ignored, now you like, nah, I got time today, cuz let's go on and talk about it, right? And for those who are following my personal Facebook page, you've seen that. You've seen me go to bat with some folks about some foolery that they've said. So yeah, I just wanted to add that the importance of this collective for me, and just having a space where I could talk about being Black to other Black people, to other Black women.
For sure. I mean, I was gonna say that too when Lexi finished what she was saying, because really that's what we have been doing together. And it's been really important for me to be a part of our group for all the same reasons you just mentioned. I was invited into this group and another group of women last year. And before pandemic, I hadn't really been in any associated a group like this in any ongoing way. And honestly, I don't even know if I would have um, consistently committed to anything like that before that. And in addition to working for myself. So put that into it. It's also because I work for myself. But I've found that it's so important for me personally to be engaged and have a space for every reason you just said, and for what Lexi shared too about this ability to check in, the sisterhood, to be unapologetically Black, and to offer that encouragement to you, to Lexi, to M, to Brandy, that it just feels good. It's a sort of a utopia in a sense. That space where it feels where you like that moment where you can just be free, because we don't always get to walk into that freedom, as you both have been sharing what living under this pandemic has felt like for the year, for the ways in which it has definitely made us all have to really face and reckon with uh, white supremacy in all the ways that it shows up. Um, we, I think, in our space, have found a way to come together and say, well, in spite of all of everything that's happening in the world, we do have agency, but we have it together. It's not about individualism, which is what this country is phrases. It's definitely that rugged individualism. We come together as a collective, really understanding that we are better together. We have more power when we are together. We're more strength together, and encouraging each other to be better. So for me, um, I really feel like it is important, and for my soul, as we say, well, this is helping me Two, because I don't even most of my professional career, I've only been with white people for most of my whole professional career. I've not built alongside black professionals, male or female. I haven't really had that. And so being able to engage and have the challenge and be in I think the challenge is not no one's have really completely come hard at me, but it is the challenge is because I'm listening to you all. You know, I'm listening to you share your goals, your hopes, your dreams, what you want to do with your business, how you see yourself growing. That inspires me and challenges me to get my stuff together and be better. You know, in a way that I don't get in the spaces that I'm in. So it's such a beautiful thing for me. So for me, what I hope, as you said, sharing yours as well, Lexi, that we lean into each other. I'm hoping that we will come together and be stronger. That we find ways as Black women, which we have been doing. I've said this many times. People have heard me say many times. It's the year of the Black woman, and I still believe that 100%. And part of that is because we take these moments that have been very painful, very raw, very dehumanizing. And part of that strong Black woman thing, while it has been in some ways detrimental, it's also the thing that allows us to, in some ways, come off onto the other side and really do that whole make lemonade out of lemons type thing in a way that nobody else can do. Um, and really, I feel like God's given us a little extra sauce um, because of the deep pains, and I feel emotional, but it is these deep pains and wounds and the ways that we've been scarred and maimed and dehumanized over the centuries. God had to give us some extra, and we just continuously show out with that He has given us. And so I think as we continue to see each other, like really see each other in ways, I think this year has forced us to, as you've said, Kanita, this year has forced us to see ourselves and to see each other, sister to sister, and determine what we're gonna do about it. Am I going to succumb to white supremacy and play these stupid games and try to block you so I can be the white man's favorite? Or am I going to support you as my sister and say, we can do this and we will do this and I will support you and be behind you? And I think that's what we continue to see with all these small businesses that's popping up. So many of us Black women doing it, going out there, but we're networking together to create, I think, something that's better and proven what's possible, even in the pandemic. And so I have to think, um, even with reflecting over Breonna Taylor and her life taken too soon, as we know, in this violent and inhumane way. And as you've mentioned now, Kanita, the woman, which I did watch the video, the woman in Chicago, um, again, I that image for me, her standing there with no clothes on, with all those white men bust into her apartment, reminded me of Auction Block. And this that you are again not human, don't matter. What we need to do here is more important than you having any dignity. So it's out of those types of conditions that I think we continue to have to rise up against. And so I'm just hoping that we stay the course as women, continue to network, to continue to be hope, continue to be water in a thirsty, dry land, and that we continue to do so for each other, that we not be pimped out by someone else's cause that leaves our own people high and dry, but that we stick together. And I really believe, I honestly believe in my heart that we're doing that for each other. And so I just hope that we can continue to do that and be inspirational for other women who've been struggling to find female connections and struggling with, can I trust her? You know, those things that's in the air. Or someone will say, I don't have female friends, or I don't deal with women like that. I'm really hoping that as we see Black women continue to trailblaze, and as we continue to engage with each other, we create something. We create what is that, and turning that around and saying you can connect, and I'm here for you, and really being deep and genuine about it. So for me also, um, when I see even now that picture they kept showing of Breonna Taylor, like in her uniform, her work uniform. Um, yeah, like you said, Lexi, we get taught to do everything the right way. You know, be, dot the I, cross the T, be on our P's and Q's and all of this. But when I see that, I see her like this is promise. So for me, she represents promise. Even though her life was snatched and taken, but she was at this young, early stage in her life where it seemed like she was on a career path and may have had some promise, and that's what I want to hold on to. Like I said, I didn't know her. But I have to believe and hold on to something out of that.
And I just wanted to add, you know, you said the promise, right? To kind of touch on what Lexi said. That's what was so disappointing. That she did all the right things. She did all the right things. She did all the things that everyone who justified Philando Castile, Sandra Bland, Korean Gaines, on and on and on and on and on, right? She did. She was one of the people in blue, literally, right? If there was anybody where the whole world should have been like, no, right? And that didn't happen. It unapologetically didn't happen. And as I'm in this staff meeting and I'm seeing it on my phone and I turn on my TV and I'm kind of going through these thoughts over the few weeks that passed, it was just heartbreaking because my mind said I could be Breonna Taylor. I have friends who are nurses who have, permits to carry, right, to protect their homes. Black women, right? What does that say for us? What does that say for my mother? What does that say for my sisters? What does it say, right? Me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I make people put on their seatbelt when they get in my car. The car can't roll if everybody ain't buckled up, Buttercup. Like, right? But somebody could come into my home right now. The police could come into my home right now and kill me and could be found justifiable in my murder. Right? Like that. And to still have to get up and go to work and be resilient and act as if this thing isn't happening. And, right, like to have to get up and live through that while I'm carrying that, while that's in the back of my mind, while I'm scared to drive to certain places, while I'm, I don't want to give this place too much shine, but y'all remember earlier last year, I had a situation when I went into a hair store, looking for some stuff, and I had kind of publicly called that place out, right? Like I'm, to Lex's point, like I'm even more so paranoid now that I've been racially profiled. And it's like, me? Right? I thought I checked off the boxes like Breonna did. And I don't. Because when I exit the safety of my home, I am something to be feared everywhere. everywhere. And how do you get up and still be merciful and still be gracious and still, right? Like, to me, that is the ultimate act of God.
Oh yeah.
To go back to what after the George Floyd murder, the young lady in Atlanta who did there's a video of her. Her name is Kimberly something. She said people should be glad that we just want equality and we don't want revenge,
Oh yeah.
because we got all the receipts that say that we could cash in on that, right? We don't. I don't want equality. I want freedom. I want equity, and I want safety. That's it. And right now, the only place I find safety is with other Black women. And with this cute little Black dude I know. But mainly Black women.
Right, that's real talk. I mean, that's real talk. So it is, and we could keep going and going and going on this. I could go down a lot of paths with that, but it's honestly that's the crazy making part of white supremacy and the damage of it, right? And living in this world that's anti-Black, living in this country, that is a constant reminder of what you said. People fear you or see you as less than. Your humanity is not fully respected in any real way. But to know that what they said, but for the grace of God, But for me, really understanding and believing that God gave us something extra, and we fully walking into that and being that, all that. Um, we don't succumb to that, we can't. That's why we don't. That's why it's not because it's in our God likeness that we're not trying to be revengeful people. That's not our essence. um
Stoop to the level of being inhumane? Who wants to stoop to the level of being animalistic? Who wants to stoop to that level? Nobody. We don't wake up and be like, ooh, let me harm somebody today. That's not how we out here living. We just want to be alive. That's it. That's it.
be able to live in our full humanity. Yeah, it's like, no. So let us prepare for our ceremony and light our candle. Again, we want to feel the earth beneath our feet, weight underneath our tushes, get really grounded in where we are. As we say this litany for Breonna Taylor, that was written by Reverend Fran Pratt. Light my candle. Okay. Yeah. So let's take in another deep cleansing breath. And release. We'll begin, and you will repeat the bold face parts. We will all say together. Y'all ready?
Yep.
God, this is not the world we want to live in.
Where murderers
Murderers go free.
go free.
Where the state kills innocents.
Where the
Where
political
political
system
system justifies
justifies.
lynching. Where the system protects the powerful and leaves the innocent to their fate.
Where justice is not done.
This injustice is not new, no.
It is an old pattern
of racism,
of white
of white
supremacy,
supremacy,
of power hoarding,
of greed,
of greed,
of theft.
of
of ego.
ego.
We cry out for the abolishment of unjust systems.
We cry
We cry
out
out
for an
an
end
end
to
to
police
police abuse,
abuse of power.
power.
We cry out for the end of the state sanctioned murder of innocents.
We
We cry out
for an end to the
to the
abuse
abuse and
and
murder
murder of
of
Black
Black
lives.
lives.
You mute yourself, Lexi. Unmute yourself.
We cry out for an end of the political stalemate that does not legislate protections.
We cry
We
out
cry
for
out for Breonna's family
and
and
loved
loved
ones.
ones.
We lament Breonna's lost future here on earth.
We lament
We lament
her
her
life
life
cut
cut
short.
short.
We lament the trauma of her death.
We
We
lament
lament
the
the
corrupt
corrupt officers
officers who got
who got
off
on
without
without consequence.
consequence.
We lament the pain and the grief of all who mourn her.
We lament
We lament
the long
the
line of martyrs Breonna joins.
Give us strength, O God, to continue the work.
Strength to be
Strength
struck
to be
down,
struck down, but
But not
not destroyed.
destroyed.
To be persecuted, but not forsaken.
To be
To be
mystified,
mystified,
but
but
not
not
but not
despairing.
despairing. Give ear to our voices, God.
Hear the
Hear the
plea
pleas of
of
the
the
righteous, and cast down the mighty from their thrones.
lift up
Lift up the lowly. Lift up the lowly. Right. I was very, I don't know why, but I feel very moved to tears right now.
Amen.
I just want to thank you, Rhonda, for inviting us to do this with you. This is definitely not something I would have done to commemorate the year anniversary of the egregious theft, I would say, of Breonna Taylor, the theft of life, right? They didn't have the right to take that. And but I think this is what community does. You just sending out the email to us and asking us if we would join you, to me felt like my sister having a need, that this was important to her. Breonna is important to us, but this and the sharing of this moment was important to you. And so I'm just really overwhelmed with gratitude, overwhelmed with also deep sadness, but very thankful that you created space for Lexi and I, along with you, to come together tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
I agree. I mean, I don't think that things like this have been brought to my attention before to actually have a moment to collectively grieve.
Mm,
I think all too often I personally have been grieving the loss of our people on my own.
Mm.
And I feel this is just so important. And I just want to thank you because I don't feel alone. I
Mm.
don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, it is a collective grief.
Mm-hmm.
It is a collective grief that we all carry, and the weight is heavy. And again, I know we didn't know her. We don't know her mom. We don't know her family. But what we do know is racism. What we do know is hatred. What we know is state sanctioned hatred. And that is the weight that we carry every day because we don't know when it could be us. With the simplest of acts of just being in your home, preparing for bed, taking a shower, walking down the street, driving your car, getting groceries. So it is the weight of that we carry, um, that tries to disfigure us. And like you said, Lexi, we're not inhumane. It hasn't robbed us from being able to still feel and desire a more just world. And not only that, but be the love that we've been called to be in this world for each other. And so for me, it was something that I felt that I really just had to do. And I'm glad that you joined me because I did have a need to do this and to release. So thank you, and for those who are watching, who join us, I hope you too are making space in your own ways to grieve, to feel the weight of what this time means, um, and not only just carry it, as Lexi said, you've been mourning and feeling this sadness by yourself, but knowing we don't have to be by ourselves. There are other people who are sensitive to the pain, to the loss, to the sadness, to the hurt. And it's not that we get in it and we wallow in it in the phrase of like misery loves company. It's not that. It is saying we are human and we must make time to
Mm.
manage the range of emotions, and grief is part of that.
Mm-hmm.
How dare we not take a moment to honor this life and let ourselves be sad because her life and many other lives are worth the weight of sadness. And so we take that and we do it together.
Amen.
So thank you all. Have a really good night. And I'm going to talk to y'all again later. Good night. Bye
Good
bye.
night.